Well, hello everyone. Here I show you the season green and tall is the coloring right here. As you see right here, as I went and drew right here, you say is with most of us, here, if you've seen from the previous, other videos that I posted, of course, it's like talking about with memories and stuff like that. You probably heard, the same thing about, over, maybe a few dozen times it is, but talking about it's like what you call right here is the house, for, say where I used to live at. And of course, talk about there's a few other locations, of course, I used to live at too, of course, that, this was, say, St. Charles, Missouri. And of course, I also, say, lived in, other places like, say, here is, like, knowing about, it's like for Columbia, it is that, but right here is that you see right here is a house, is like, for whenever I, uh, grew up, as a kid, it was that I remember that, it's got right here is the backyard. And then of course talking about what season green and tall it is you got right there is these trees right here with my mom and dad. It's like I'll be, running around, of course, running around the yard. Of course, there will be a bus stop right here. And of course, the last time I checked, it was of course, I did like what you call a Google map check. It's say on the satellite view of what the property looks like. You got right there is the bus stop right there. It's like you got right here. I don't know if it's really green. It's like I guess the top is green, but anyway, but it's like the way I drew it was like more like a type of spring color. If it will be raining and storming a lot of times, knowing about the fact about that, yeah, that with all the grass and stuff like that to be growing out and stuff, and knowing about that, it seems like the trees get bigger. It's like for each month, say each week, you say of a year it is. But I remember that my parents, it's like knowing about my mom and dad. It's like, of course, it's like wondering about. It's like he asked me. My parents had asked me at one time. It's like, why is it that these two trees right here, that this tree is bigger than the other one? Whenever I planted them at the same time, it was. And then knowing about with me that knowing about that, the answer I gave to my dad, and of course, with my mom, of course, that knowing about whoever that asked, that the answer I would give them, like, well, I don't know. I mean, I did not even plant the tree or something like that. I would tell them something like that, that well, one of them must be getting more sunlight, whatever it is, but I'm not the one who planted a tree in the first place. And at the time, just wondering about about your parents. It's like that they're going to ask you something related to the fact about, it's like you were supposed to take out the garbage last night, you didn't do it or whatever, or you were supposed to you were supposed to trim the bushes yesterday or whatever. But other than that, as talking about right here is you got the tree right here. And with these trees right here is knowing about with most kids, if you're going to be, so you're running around, of course, in the backyard, it is. So you got right here is the house, and you got right here is the backyard. If you're going to be running around the backyard, a lot of times you're going to probably be thinking about is like, yeah, you're going to be what you call curious, I guess, about really what you see. I remember a lot of times whenever I would be walking around in the backyard, it was that I would normally see stuff like, other than maybe interesting looking bugs or whatever you call it, but frogs. I remember I used to a lot of times seen frogs, toads, and it's like they seen that those little froggy the grasshopper type bugs, especially around the springtime it was. But anyway, this right here, I didn't draw all the details, but normally there would be like a mailbox and of course light pole right there, of course. But anyway, with anybody thinking about that, this right here would be a real, would be the actual location for knowing about with me that if I will be doing this activity in school, it is talking about. It's like, this is my room, and then there's the kitchen and such and such, and people will probably think about that that don't look anything like what we saw in the photo or whatever. It's like we went. You may have had a friend that you invited to your house for a birthday party or whatever, and the next thing you know, they say that that's not what your house looks like or whatever. That's not really what the backyard looks like. Go by satellite image, huh? The satellite image that talks about, it's like really what the backyard looks like. But on the other hand, too, to knowing about you have right here is the field, and with the field that you say you got that, which they would extend built subdivisions back there later on, but it's like, that would have been about, year. It would have been about, the month, day and year. It would have been about, February. See, of 1993, it was February 1993. I guess I can go ahead and use, February the 3rd, 1993, whenever they built those new houses and stuff like that out there. But other than that, it's like knowing about with these trees. It's like knowing about with, it's like besides, the kids, it could be the grandkids or whoever it is, the young ones, the babies and toddlers it is, and knowing about, if they see something that they're interested in, and knowing about the fact about, it's like with the calculator, knowing about, it's like with the calculator it is about, if it could be a yardstick or whatever, and just knowing about that, that they see something with maybe a few numbers and stuff, like any other, little kiddo. It's like you take their their little fingers and just go and maybe just push a few buttons it is, and it's like with the laptop especially, if they're going to go ahead and be pushing a few buttons, you say on the laptop, and knowing about, I wonder what this does. It's like, but other than that, it's like that it's like with the kids it is. But then knowing about the fact about, that, if you're going to be really curious about something, walk up to a tree, it is. If you were to walk up to a tree and maybe you want to climb a tree, I remember that whenever I was living at the house at the time, that a couple times I would climb about almost every tree that there was. Of course, they don't have too many trees around about where I'm at now, but then of course the house here that which I'm gonna say drawing out is that knowing about he had about 4 or 5 trees it is in the yard, and of course with the neighbors' trees it is. But I would climb the trees, and then this one right here, I would say it measured at about how tall was it? I would say about maybe I would probably say it measured at about at least 13 feet, something like that, 13 feet high. So I guess on a, if you say do the math right, it would be about 216 inches, something like that. 216 inches. That I guess that would equal to about 14 yards. I've really knowing about really how tall the tree was, but it was a pretty tall tree to where that's like you really climb up there, and a lot of times it would be like what you call birds that would build their nest in inside the trees and stuff like that, and a lot of quite a bit of sap and stuff. But knowing about with the season green and tall is knowing about a lot of these things whenever you're young, that like maybe like a kid, and it's like knowing about, it's like a story about Jack and the Beanstalk it is, or anything like that. But I remember I used to ride my bike, of course, ride my bike up there, there would be a kind of like a hill, a street, of a hill, and then a street going down there, and you got right there is the fence. But other than that is talking about the things that you think you'd be curious in. But like any other kid, that knowing about how curious you are is knowing about that. If you really want to touch something, is it's like that a couple of days out. If it's ever happened, more likely it may have happened to somebody. If they were to find say a bumblebee in the yard and want to touch the bumblebee, and then they wind up getting stung. It is a couple times. I remember I've gotten stung by a couple bees, and it's like knowing about there would be like a flower bed right here, and right here it is. But anyway, but talking about for this season green and tall is talking about is it you got the bus stop right here too, but basically about these trees right here, you plant the trees, which like with me, that I wanted to plant a tree of those couple of times too. Is if you were to want to plant a tree that knowing about is like the right, that you see the right soil or the right material, is like knowing about if you got the seed, and then of course planting it into the ground it is, and just knowing about the things that you think that you would need in order to be able to plant a tree it is. So it's like go ahead and take is the blue right here, but other than that you say for season green and tall right here, just add just a little bit of mixture of say maybe spring colors right here. But other than that see here, maybe add a little bit of red. A lot of people probably think about it as like it's mainly green that you usually see, in the yards and stuff like that. It's like especially around springtime, just go ahead and add some green. But anyway, I have to tell them I begin to wonder if there's going to be anything, such as what you call, anything related to, I know that they got it like on, say on Google Earth it is, but knowing about, it's like the land, what, people think that the land is going to look like maybe in 15 years or so from now, if there's any type of program that you can buy, say for the PC or maybe for an iPhone 5 or something like that, to where that you say, knowing about, what do you think that this city or, the property's going to look like in maybe in 5 or 10 years from now. And just knowing with me is like knowing about the house may still look the same, but, these trees, of course, have gotten taller. I've gotten taller, of course, and just knowing about the fact about, that, a few of the trees, if you want to climb up them or whatever, walk up to them. But whenever you're young, I guess you just, typically want to go ahead and just check it out. It's like knowing about this, like you'll be walking. It's like, and I even thought about it. It's like if I lived in a house to where that a few stores, of course, will be. It's to say in walking distance. It is. It's like have it to where if you want to walk, to the mall or to the grocery store, it is. But you have it to where. And, if you would be walking around, it's like the street it is. But I remember one time I was walking, and of course, like, would be riding my bike, and for whatever reason, I didn't want to pick up my bike, and so my mom told me, it's like, knowing about, you gotta go pick up your bike, to get out in the middle of the road. But anyway, but I remember, a lot of those stories I still remember, but of course it's like knowing about with me running out of time too. But anyway, with me, but talk about with season green tall is knowing about is that things that we ought to teach you, say kids is knowing about, if they do ask, it's like knowing about the fact about that, what's this, what's that, what is this, why is it that you have like what you call maybe 3 or 4 green colors at that. They look very similar. It's like I know I have other greens, but just not available right now. But anyway, you got right here is the blue and the green. It is, and just knowing about the fact about that. That with the green, it makes you look good. Knowing about for green for good is knowing about. It's like for the letter G is like for say between Jack and the Beanstalk and showing. It's like. You say, the green star, as I was talking about, it's like, good, good looking. But other than that, it's talking about, it's like, what this was, let's say, with the drawing of what you call it, is like for green and tall.